All right, welcome to this MindManager webinar of content control in MindManager Enterprise 2020. My name is Joel Avreim. I will be your presenter today. I'm the sales engineer for MindJet in the EMEA region. With me, I also have Jan Heger that will assist me throughout the webinar, helping me to answer all of your questions. So today's webinar will be approximately 30 minutes. The recording and all maps shown in today's webinar will be distributed out to all of you and even participants that's not attending today, and that will be in a few days' time. Given that content control is a new feature in MindManager 2020, we hope that you have MindManager Enterprise version 20 installed. If you're uncertain of which version you have, you go to the File tab in MindManager, you click the Help, and on your right hand side you will see About MindManager. Hopefully it displays Enterprise version 20 or 20.1. If you have a lower version, don't worry, we have a brilliant sales team that can help you out adjusting that after the webinar. Cool. So today's webinar is about content control, and we will break it down in different sections. We'll start out by discussing why content control, when is it used, what it's used for, the benefits overall. We will activate a content control session and work around with content control, comparing what's what, switch off temporarily, and deactivate content control for the map we're in currently. In the end, we will go more on depth on the different features of content control, because content control is just a name for a lot of different things that you can set up. So what do we want to enable and disable for yourself or other users in your map? And lastly, we will have a look at some examples. So yeah, let's kickstart this. First of all, what is content control? Well, the main purpose of content control is protecting the integrity of your own map. So we're mostly focused on the content and the appearance, and in the same time allowing people to change the stuff that you would like them to change, or yourself. It could be that you're building this beautiful map, you invested loads of time and money and effort in building this map, but in the end of the day, you don't want anyone to accidentally delete or mess something up there. I think I speak for the most of us when I say that everyone has most likely accidentally deleted something or changed something that wasn't really intended to be changed, and content control prevents just that. We will look into how you can allow users or yourself to work with metadata whilst under content control, how to insert links and files into the map itself, and also work with the task information. So the way that you activate content control, it can be done in a couple of different ways, but the easiest is that you go to File, you go to Information, and then click on Content Control. So Info under File, and here you have Content Control. And that opens up the Content Control setting panel. So what you do is you check the checkbox for content control, you enter a password, and I cannot stress this enough. Please remember your password. We cannot retrieve it should you lose it. I will show you later also how to make the map remember your password. We will also look into the features that you can enable for editing, but for now, we'll leave everything ticked. Great. So the format of this webinar is looking into what we do prevent, what you can choose to allow, really underlining there, you can choose to allow stuff, or you can block out anything or everything, and stuff that we would like you to pay extra attention to. But starting out with what we want to prevent. So obviously the insertion, deletion, and edit of branches and objects, and same thing goes for formatting. And the easiest way to see here is that we have everything grayed out under the tab Format. So anything that's not grayed out can still be added to the map in the current settings. So what we do allow then? Well, elements and markers. Two important things that can be used for product workers or product managers in the map. The exception here is that we cannot insert date and we cannot insert any numbering, and you see here that they are grayed out. Furthermore, when it comes to task information, you can do most things there. And again, this is an overview of what we're going to see in the examples to come, but just to mention that general cost is one of those things that can't be edited in content control mode. And the last thing we will touch here is the properties. So what we can work with in content control is the property values, but we cannot assign new properties, we cannot rename them, we can't do much else than just filling out the values of the assigned properties. What we want to make you aware of is things that, well, even if I wouldn't say them, you would notice sooner or later, is if I right click in the map, you're used to seeing this, but if I right click in this map, nothing happens. So that's all about that. The right click gives you the formatting for the map. And as we mentioned, formatting is taken out when you use content control. Same thing goes for right clicking on a topic itself. You're used to seeing this when you right click, but if I right click on the branch, I have a smaller menu. I can copy as link, send to, or insert a note. And same thing with note, I can choose to allow that or not. Okay. And worth mentioning here, if you have forgotten your password, the way to continue working on that map is pretty much to forget about that map and copy all the content into a new map. So also all the corresponding keyboard shortcuts to the enabled features, like attach a file, they are allowed to use in the map when in content control. So here you see that insert or attach a file is Control-Shift-H. And I've also been kind enough to insert a keyboard shortcut map here if you would like to study that. Okay. Oh, that was the one we were at. Switch. It could be worth pointing out, this is actually my first ever webinar. So far, I think I give myself a good grade, right? When we want to switch off content control temporarily, we go up to the content control mode up in the top left corner, and we enable full editing. And then you enter your password, and this is also where you choose to remember the password. But also keep in mind that this password is kept for this map. So should you share it with a colleague, the password will be in the map.
Joel, we have one question. Can we, as company, can we reset the password?
We cannot. So if you have chosen a password, forgetting about that password, well, the way to solve that is to copy all content and paste it into a new map. That's the only way to go forwards. But a lost password means a locked map. So again, worth pointing out, enable full editing, remember the password. I would do that directly if you're the least worried that you will lose the password. Or write it somewhere. Little post-it note. Okay. So should you disable the limited editing going into full editing mode? Let's do that now. Click OK. Then you see here we have a full editing available, meaning I can insert topics and I have the right click back, so full command over MindManager. When you close the map, it's activated again. So next time you open the map, it will be on content control mode. There we go. Back to limited editing. Should you wish to deactivate content control totally, then you do a similar thing. You go up to the content control tab and you go to content control settings. You insert the password and you click OK. And then you uncheck the box for content control and save. And for the sake of this demo, we're going to activate it again, and then we will do it by showing you the other way of activating. It's under share. And here you have content control settings. Going in, same thing again, enable, insert your password, and hit save. And we're back on the content control. Great. So now we're going into the different features, being the stuff that you can check or uncheck in the content control settings. What do they do and what do they prevent? First off, we have the tags. So when you have activated content control, you can work with the existing tags given that you have enabled the right to work with the tags. If you have unchecked that box, you cannot work around with the tags. They're locked. Okay? You cannot create new tags or tag groups. It is what's assigned to the map previous to activating content control. And this goes throughout the entire feature span of content control. So, the exception here is, say that you would have locked the possibility of working with the tags. If you have a smart rule inserted to the map, let's say if I click this task as done, have a look what happens to the Kanban tag here. I check this to done, which affects the tag. So even if you have unselected the tag in the content control, the smart rule will overwrite that. Okay. Same thing goes for progress. If you have enabled progress, it's not a problem to use it at all. And same thing here, would you have disabled the feature of working with the progress, you can still have a smart rule that says when done, make the progress icon as task done. When it comes to roll-ups, we'll have a look at this in depth a bit later, but if you have a roll-up of tasks, you cannot change that or unroll it or start a new roll-up should you want one, because that's disabled in content control. Looking at the general icons, same thing here. If they're assigned to the map, you can work with them. So anything that's existing can be changed or removed or added. Same thing here when it comes to the smart rules. You can work with the smart rules either if you have disabled the feature of using the icons, or if there's rules saying that, well, you can't add any resources or tags. So if I remove this icon, it inserts a smart rule that's saying that add an icon and I should do it myself. Moving on to edit properties. So anything that contains formula is locked. So we can have a look at the formula, but there is nothing we can do here. That's locked out. If you have enabled the possibility of working with the properties, then the user can go in and change them. The same thing goes for drop-down menus. So anything property-wise, should it be enabled, you can work with it. For now, smart rules cannot change properties if you have unselect that checkbox. So if you know that you're working with smart rules that contains or needs properties to work, do not uncheck that box. We plan to address this in the future, but for now, leave it checked. And the same thing goes for priorities. There's no magic here. You can drag and drop, you can click them or reverse. Everything works as long as you have allowed it. Task information, on the other hand, has some more features. So pretty much all task information can be added, changed, or removed from the map. So you have the start date, due date, and the duration. That's not a problem. And you have it here, as always, when it's possible to work with. It's worth pointing out that if you, prior to activating content control, have checked or unchecked the relation between duration and effort, that's the way it's going to stay throughout the content control session. So make sure to have that correctly. There's few exceptions here. Like mentioned before, the roll-up. So here I've inserted a roll-up. You see the overall completion of the tasks below here. I can right-click, but I can't do anything about it, and I cannot remove the roll-up. Same thing goes for dependencies. So should you have entered dependencies, they cannot be accidentally removed. So if I mark it and hit delete, nothing is happening. and the cost, the general cost that you will find here. Should we insert a resource and his resource cost goes in here, that can be changed, yeah, but the general cost remains locked, and that could be any supplies purchased to do whatever task, you know. And when we come to resources, so all resources can be added, but it's worth pointing out here that as we have this checked, you can't go in and manually change the effort from there. But if you right click on the resource itself, you can go in and manually change that. And this is more or less a fail-safe, so you don't accidentally change the effort should that be something that you don't want people to touch, by accident at least. And lastly, when it comes to resources, Gantt, not only resources, tasks as well. You can do the same thing from the Gantt. You double click any tasks given, you can work with the progress, you can change the start, due date, duration, or effort from this view. Same thing with resources, and dependencies are locked out as that interferes with the design of the map. Okay, moving on. Adding links and attachments. So this is enabled. In this view, you can enter a link, but remember, you can't right-click that. Well, you can right-click, but you don't have the extensive menu. So if you want to insert a link, simply go to Insert, and then choose Link. And here you also have the short command, Control-K, still works. And then you can enter a link. You can't drag and drop links from your browsers, like you can in a free session of MindManager, but you can drag and drop them within the map. Okay. So now let's move on to some examples. So in this first example, we have a work breakdown structure. And here it's about to create the project manual and to insert text notes. So first off, the settings that we have for this map is that we have enabled to add comments and we have enabled to add and edit notes. Okay. So in this example, we have a prototype and the flow of how to pull it off. Let's say it like that. We also have the icons that can't be changed. We haven't selected that. So clicking those or right-clicking, you can't do anything. You can't drag and drop. You can't delete anything. Everything is locked. But what you would like is the guy that's doing the LED testing to give you feedback on how that went, for example. Then you have here the work package for which correlates to the icon. You drag it over and you can allow him to do a little note of the testing, how it went. So this gives you a clear overview of the feedback from the testers or whomever in your product has done anything that you would like to know. Yeah, you get it. Another cool feature here is if you go to the icon view. So as we have a set icon pack which no one can change, you can really get a good overview of which phase it belongs to and if it's a task. And again, everything is locked. I can't change this or accidentally drag and drop it anywhere. That's that. So moving on to the second example, which is a project map. So the core idea here is to enable anyone in the project to take part in adding progress to the tasks given, but they shouldn't accidentally mess around or mess up something that you have entered into the map. And we've also chosen to hide a lot of content, because if we open up the map, first take a look at the settings we've entered. We allow them to enter comments, we allow to edit progress, and then we have the properties that's available as they're used in the smart rules. Links, attachments are allowed, and edit notes are allowed. So as always, I can't delete anything, I can't change anything, but as we had enabled people to do the changes of the progress, this still works. And as I mentioned, we have hidden a lot of information in this map, because from a simple project point of view, you as a project owner might care about all the information in the map, but all the guys assigned to doing the basement, let's take the basement as an example, they don't really care about the money involved and the durations and all of that. That's the project management's role, right? So under the tab View, Show and Hide, we have this brilliant feature, and I really recommend all of you to use this more if you don't already, because this is a brilliant feature. Because if we now reset this filter, let's zoom out first so you see what happens to the map. Show and Hide, reset to default. Then you see that we enrich the map with a lot of content that's extremely valuable for the overall project, but for a project worker might not be essential. You know, he just needs to tell you that, yeah, I'm done with the basement walls, for example. Another cool feature here is that we have a progress-based cost. So as I move along with the progress, you see that the progress-based costs increase as well. So this is all about smart rules and formulas. Same thing with the Kanban here, doing, and when we finish the task, it sets as done. And then moving over to the tag view, where we can find the Kanban, we then have to do doing done, and we have a easy and clean explanation of our entire project. So here you see, this is valuable information for anyone working within your project, and you can rest assured that they can't mess anything up. Everything is locked in place, but you know, anyone working with larger projects knows the importance of keeping everyone in the team aligned. So this is a brilliant map. So, lastly, but not least, we come to a risk assessment. And the idea here is to restrict data, but still get a general overview of what can happen and what happens if it does, and the impact it has on your organization. So as you see here, we come directly into the tag view. So should you save a map in the tag view, that's the first view you will get. And many maps, this might be the only view that you really care about working in. But if we look at the map itself, we go over here and we have the different departments in the company and the risks that they have lined out as plausible for their department. And we also have a parking spot here with general risks that we need to assess right now. So that's what we're going to do. So we go to the tag view and we have our risk items A and B here. We'll take the risk item A and we'll say, well, it's extremely likely that this will go down at some point. Whilst risk item B, yeah, well, let's call it the probability at least. So now we're under the likelihood or probability, if you will. If we move over to the impact, then again, we have unclassified the item A and B. And when I now say, well, what would be the general impact of organization if risk item would to happen, or risk item A? Well, this will be a threat. Definitely bad if it happens. Whilst if item B would to happen, well, it's noticeable, but not that bad. And same thing here, you can't change anything and you can't enter any tags or so, but we enable them to make comments. So here you can say, well, in order to prevent this, or if this would to go down, this is what we should do. And same thing here, content control is activated, but we also have the filter show and hide. And if we go to the map itself, you will see what drives this map. So same thing as we could go to show and hide and clear the filters, you can simply click down here and reset. So based on under which either impact or likelihood we place them, they get a grade, which give you a severity in the end of the day. And that severity, let's move back, can be viewed like this. And then you have then the high, the medium, and the low. And these, well, they have the colors, right? And the colors are all built via the smart rules. That's disabled in the content control mode. But if we disable that. Going into full editing, opening the smart rules, scroll down a bit. There you have our three colors, the red, the yellow, and the green. Opening up the red one, then we see that if the severity equals or is greater than 200, make it red. The same thing goes for the green and the yellow. It's a number based on the likelihood and the impact that determines the color that the smart rule will give the topic. There we go. So that's it. We have a couple of minutes to spare, so I think we're going to move on to questions that has come in. Jan, what do you have for us?
Yeah, I've got some questions. First of all, Joel will send a link out in the chat box in a few minutes for all of you to get the webinar maps, including the house building maps. And the second question I have, so this is an enterprise-specific feature. What happened if the map is shared with somebody who does not have the enterprise version or the single is a single version? So the content control settings are stored or saved within the map, and if it's opened with a client is not an enterprise version, the content control is active there, but it cannot be disabled. So the content control settings will be there. Enabling, disabling is also only possible in the enterprise version. The next question was, you showed that there is a checkbox, remember password.
Yeah.
Where is this password saved, stored? In the registry of your computer.
That's what I was thinking, but you know.
Yeah.
Registry of the computer.
Yeah. on your client.
Maybe I should ask the questions instead.
And the last one I have so far, you mentioned that there is a possibility to enter comments. Can you show where you can enter a comment?
Yeah. So let's say we would like to enter a comment here. We go to Insert, and here you go. New comment. And it also works with Control F11 if you have long fingers. But enter a comment. And you close that out. There you go. There's the comment.
Can you also make another comment here? Just click it. And then you can say new one. Here, add a comment. And then you have the possibility, and you see the timestamps there also as well. This is not a new feature. It was also in the older versions of MindManager. You will find this in the review menu ribbon. There you have in the older versions. Also the content. I do not see any other questions. All the questions which I will be maybe missed now, we will answer later via email. And don't forget to share the link here.
Yeah.
Just to show you how to download these things.
Bear with me. So here we go.
So this is the link. And if you want to download the maps, go to Menu. And here you have the possibility to download as MMAP file or as HTML file.
Perfect. Also, everything will be sent out in a follow-up email together with this recording in a couple of days. Should you have any questions, you're free to send them to us on webinar@mindjet.co.uk. That's pretty much it. Brilliant. Well, I hope you all have enjoyed this webinar. Again, should you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. And if nothing else, thanks for attending, everyone. All the best.
Bye-bye.